Today is Friday, March 25th, 2022. Our session day is second day, third regular session at approximately, apologies. It's Friday, March 25th, 2022. Second day, third regular session at 10:48. And again, I'd like to welcome the members and welcome everybody that's in the chamber and also everyone that is viewing on our media outlets. I'd like to say good morning to everybody. So before we call the roll, I'd like everyone to please rise for a moment of silent prayer. And I ask that you keep our dear colleague, Rep. Probes' family in your prayers, and as well as all of the service members and the people in Ukraine going through their conflict as well. And before we call the roll, I'd like to give a sincere appreciation to our LB staff. We have our delegation legal counsel, Counsel Joe Tyrone. We have our delegation clerk, Joan Kaipat, and also our IT manager, Jonathan Diaz, our sergeant at arms, Mr. Pedro Tuay. Sergeant, do you have an assistant or is it just you? It's just you. And then we also have our new journal clerk, and I'd like to introduce Thomas Benaventi, who started on March 21st on Monday. So Thomas, welcome to the team, welcome to the chamber, and we're of assistance if you need us. So with that, clerk, can you please call the roll?
Representative Fadda,
Present.
Representative Vato,
Present.
Representative Babalta Selena, Representative Babalta Sheila,
Present.
Representative Kamatsu Joel,
Kaya.
Representative Kamatsu Vicente,
Here.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Here.
Representative De Mapan,
Kaya.
Representative Flores, Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Present.
Representative Magofnia,
Daigat.
Representative Probst, Senator Kirgwa, Representative Sablan Christina,
Present.
Representative Sablan John Paul,
Mr. Gap.
Chairman Sablan, Vinny,
Gaya.
Representative Staffler,
Present.
Representative Villa Gomez,
Hello.
Representative Yang Tamay,
Nyangi.
Representative Yumu, Representative Babalta Selena, Representative Flores Joseph, Representative Probst, Senator Kirgwa, Representative Yumu. Mr. Chairman, we have 17 members present, 4 members absent.
Thank you, clerk. With 17 members present, we hereby establish a quorum for today's delegation proceedings. And I'd like to say on the record that Representative Flores, Representative Yumo, Representative Probst, and Representative Selena Babata are hereby excused from today's proceedings. Now, before we move on to reading and approval of the journal, I wanted to take this time during this session to fill the vice chair position, which was our dear late member, Congressman Ivan Blanco. You know, it's been 8 months since his departure, and you know, I know this delegation and everyone in our CNMI, you know, remember him and miss him. And I just wanted to make sure that during this session, before we move on the business of the delegation for the coming months, that we have the vice chair position, and which the person will fill big shoes of our dear Rep. Blanco. So with that, we will have the election of the vice chair at this moment. And if there are no objections, I'd like to now open the floor for nominations for the position of Vice Chair. Recognize Representative Edmund Villagomez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I nominate Representative John Paul Palacios Sablan for the seat of Vice Chair.
Second.
Okay, there's been a nomination for Representative John Paul Sablan for the seat of Vice Chair, and it has been seconded. Any discussion? Okay, and a motion. There has been a motion to close nomination by Representative Christina Sablan. Did I hear a second? Second. Okay. So with that, those motions carry. And Joe, that's a nomination by acclamation. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna.
To expressly state that the motion to close is combined with the motion to elect.
Okay. So. As per our legal counsel, the motion to close is combined with the motion to elect the vice chair. So with that, I'd like the clerk for formality to please call the roll on the nomination for Representative John Paul P. Sablan to serve as the vice chair of this delegation. Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Adda,
Yes.
Representative Fattau,
Yes, for Representative John Paul Sablan.
Representative Babalta Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Kamatsu Joel,
Ungan.
Representative Kamatsu Vicente,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Representative Demapan,
Ungan.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Magofnia,
Ungan.
Senator Kirwa, Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan Jampo,
Ungan.
Chairman Sablan,
Hungan.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Villa Gomez,
Yes, for Sablan.
Representative Yangtamay.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, all 17 members voted yes for Representative John Paul Sablan.
Thank you, Clerk. With all 17 members voting yes for the nomination of Representative John Paul P. Sablan, it is now official. Representative Sablan, you now hold the position of Vice Chairman of the Saipan and Northern Island Legislative Delegation. And could we please have you? I want you to sit up here next to me. All right. So just a fun fact. I served our former chairperson of the delegation in the 21st legislature as his floor leader, and it's good to have him sitting here with me as well. So thank you, Vice Chair Sablan. So with that, we will proceed with our regular business, and under item B, reading and approval of the journal, I now recognize floor leader Sheila Babota.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I motion to approve the journal, I'd like to offer a motion to suspend pertinent rules so that we can adopt House Communications 22-35 and 36 coming from House members so that they may be excused for today's session. So move.
Okay, so there's been a motion to amend today's agenda and suspend delegation rules to include some communications that have been received after the call. It has been seconded. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Representative Adda,
Yes.
Representative Fattau,
Yes.
Representative Babalta Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Joel Kamatsu,
Ungan.
Representative Vicente Kamatsu,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Representative Demapan,
Ungan.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Magofnia,
Ungan.
Senator Kirwa, Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan Jumpo,
Hungan.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Villagomez,
Yes.
Representative Yankton.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Hungen.
Mr. Chairman, all 17 members voted yes.
With 17 members voting yes, the motion carries. Recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I offer a motion to approve and adopt SNILE Journal 22-9, first day, third regular session on January 7th, 2022. So move.
Okay, there's been a motion to approve SNILE Journal 22-29. It has been seconded. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor to adopt SNILE Journal 22-9, please say aye. All who oppose say nay. Motion carries. And we're now at the portion of public comments, and this is the portion of the proceedings that allows our visitors and all who are here in the gallery to present any public comments that reference only those languages that turn out on our agenda. So the floor is now open for public comments. Please state your name for the records, and if I ask that we can keep our comments down to 5 minutes. Thank you. Floor is open for public comments.
Hafade Tiro. Good morning, Chairman Sablan, newly elected Vice Chairman Sablan, and honorable members of the Saipan and Northern Islands Legislative Delegation. My name is Frankie Elliptico, and I work for the students of the Northern Marianas College. I'm here on behalf of our president and the entire college community to express support for the speedy passage of House Local Bill 22-24, which will appropriate $1 million to NMC. As you know, the college has approved a facilities master plan that lays out the short and long-term capital improvement strategy for our campus and the rebuilding of new classrooms, labs, offices, and other spaces lost to Super Typhoon U2. We have worked really hard, diligently, and proficiently to secure grant funding to fund several of these campus facilities. This summer, we anticipate on breaking ground on the first building, the Student Center, which will be the flagship structure of the Northern Marianas College. And we hope all of you can be there for the groundbreaking ceremony. We also hope to begin breaking ground later this year on the Workforce Development Building as well as the CREAS building. The approval and the immediate access to the funds identified in House Local Bill 22-24 are critically necessary at this point because it will help relocate the existing roadway that currently cuts through and traverses the college property back to the designated right-of-way. This will then allow NMC to maximize the limited space we have to build modern, resilient, and amazing spaces, including the buildings that I've just mentioned, that will benefit our community for our current and future generations. Thank you so much for your support, your passage of this bill, and the passage of this bill. While I'm also at the mic, I also want to thank you in advance, the members of our SNILE delegation, for your advocacy of our NMC 2023 budget request. I know the budget season is coming up, and we have hefty requests that we would love to engage with and talk to you about when that time is appropriate. Again, thank you for your support, and to Masi.
Thank you, Mr. Elliptico. And the floor is still open for public comments.
Good morning. My name is Robert Torres, and I'm a board member on behalf of the Northern Marianas Protection and Advocacy Systems, Inc., and NMPASI, that are known to all of you. I'm here with our executive director, Greg Borja, as well as our hardworking staff and a fellow board members here today. Well, you're like, well, and NMPASI's not on the agenda, and I'm sure Pete will throw me out if I violate the Open Government Act to confine my comments. So here's the line. Within NMC, They have many institutions, but one of them is the University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. And because of that, this month in March is the Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. Some of you are aware of that, and some of you are not yet quite aware of it. But in your boxes, and thank you for your time, we hope that we bring today your awareness to be an ally of NMPOSSE. So while we don't have introduced legislation that has a bill name, we believe that if the opportunity comes up this morning to help NMPOSSE as you are helping NMC and its facilities, that we thank you in advance for your support. I don't know, maybe it'll come up, but we believe that we count you as our ally. And the reason why I use that word is that it's an acronym for this month's theme, to be partners in advocacy and the advancement of the cause of the champion, the voices of those who have disabilities, that have mental and physical impairments in our community. Your voters, you call them the constituents. In our community, we call them our consumers and our clients, but they are our people. And NMPOSSE is here to appreciate your support so that our advocates, as they go into advocating for folks with disabilities in our facilities, including Commonwealth Health Center, Department of Corrections, the public school system, NMC, and OVR and DYS, among other facilities, that we advocate for their needs. In 1972, the Willowbrook facility in New York, Geraldo Rivera did an expose that exposed the atrocious conditions and the treatment of people with disabilities, mental disabilities in there. And from that expose came in 1973, the Disabilities Act. And that paved the way for the funding for advocacy and protection that has supported NMPOSSE. And here today, we appreciate the local support for that advocacy. It is not often that we come to seek support because it is not our mission to really seek funding. Our job is to go out and advocate for those who need the support. But we support your effort to acknowledge the first A in ally, our work, and to respect every person's abilities and experiences with the disabilities. As we know, we don't see disabilities, we see abilities from everyone, from Senator in Congress and former President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who never let a disability like from polio ever stop him from being our great leaders. And within all of us, we are touched with disabilities, as well as to learn and educate yourself about the challenges of persons with disabilities, and leverage your influence as our leaders and as our community advocates, and partner with us. And lastly, yield the floor to our people with disabilities and eliminate the barriers to access. So simply on behalf of NMPOSSE and our team, we invite you to our home down on Middle Road, right next to the Commonwealth Cancer Association, and to visit us and refer those who need our services, and we are happy to help. And then we have our ropes activities, and if you ever have tried that, it's the one where you all stand on a board and you hold on and you have to move in the same direction together. We know the legislature is well known for doing that all the time in a bipartisan manner. But again, thank you for your time and your support on behalf of all the friends and family, including NMC and NMPOSSE. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Torres. And our floor is still open for any public comments.
Since everybody's tying to NMC, I'll do the same. My name is Gary Sword, and from Guihan Pacifico. In 2011, there was a symposium that was held at the World Resort, well attended, and it featured aquaculture here in the CNMI. That was 11 years ago. Since then, very little has been done. We did have aquaculture handbook that was put together by Ross Maglonia and also Mike Ogle. And very little has been done in this industry, but it is an industry. In 2020, aquaculture was worth $208 billion around the world. It's estimated to, since the wild catches are declining, it's estimated to be a $256 billion industry by 2027. So it's a growing industry, and can become our industry here in the CNMI. We have 750,000 square miles of ocean and only 196 square miles of land. So we have a lot more ocean that we can use for farming. But it has to be done in an environmentally sustainable manner. And this is why we're asking for funding from SNILE, is to bring down the dean of the University of Miami School of Aquaculture, Dr. Daniel Benetti, who is a well-known person as far as aquaculture goes, along with a gentleman named David Peters, who is the president of Gulfstream Aquacultures in Miami. So having these people come down here and identify sites that are environmentally sustainable and will not damage our environment is very key. We also have no rules and regulations for aquaculture. They can help set that up. So before we put the first cage in the water, we must make sure that our waters, our lands, our people are protected. And it must be done in a way that will absolutely benefit our people. Uh, Statistics show that our indigenous people have a high rate of unemployment, but the ocean is part of our very being. And building an industry that our local people love to partake in will bring down the numbers of unemployed people. Again, we have huge markets in Asia. It's 3 hours by plane away. We can send it to Hawaii. It's an amazing concept once we look at it. And I'm asking for your support to provide this bit of seed funding so that we can embark on it. Even if it's 11 years later, it's better later than not to start at all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Sword. And the podium is still open.
Good morning. My name is Susan Satur, and I'm the Executive Director for the Center for Living Independently. I want to thank you in advance for all of the support you've been giving the center. The new building is amazing, and I'm so very pleased to be a part of this, and I want to thank you for all the support you've been giving the center, along with the March being the Disabilities Month awareness, and we're hoping to get more support. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for taking the time to entertain us.
Thank you, Mrs. Satur. The podium is still open for public comments.
Hafidez Anolamwai, Guausivinir Sini, the Social Studies Program Manager for the Public School System. I am grateful for the opportunity to come before you honorable members of the legislature this morning. As our world becomes more connected and globalized, our students learn about different people and places in the world, and it's easy to forget who we are and the heritage we belong to. The current fear is that this might be happening to the students here in the CNMI. Educational research has shown that students learn better when we connect instructional lessons to the place that we live. We call this place-based learning, and it produces the highest level of student engagement. Unfortunately, when our elementary school students open a textbook, they read lessons about oak trees and pine cones, but not about their own native trees. They read books about kids named Frank and Sally, but the kid next to them is named Kiku and Jocelyn. When it comes to civics, the students learn about state counties, not island villages. With this funding that we are so grateful for, we can design and produce social studies textbooks and Chamorro and Carolinian heritage textbooks that instill pride in the students of who they are and where they come from. Textbooks where students can read and learn about the place in the world and the heritage they belong to. Textbooks that teach them about moral and social values that have been passed down from generation to generation and can now be found in their book while maintaining the high educational standards of PSS. We thank you for your time and your generosity.
Thank you, Mr. Orsini. The podium is still open.
Hafade Lesser Moy and good morning, everyone. I am Jonas M. Barcinas, the Chamorro Carolinian Language and Heritage Studies Program Director for the CNMI Public School System under the Office of the Curriculum and Instruction. Today, I'm here to extend our sincerest thank you to all the Saipan and Northern Islands Legislative Delegation for keeping our students, teachers, and schools in your thoughts when making decisions to allocate funding. Funding under the House Bill, Local Bill 22-7 S1 to develop kinder to third grade textbook curriculum. This will help or really help our programs develop materials that is place-based, culturally relevant, and project-based, which will give our students a more meaningful learning opportunity, understanding, and appreciation of their own island community and its people's history. Let it be known that this funding, should we be given, will be used with fidelity and to ensure teachers are provided with a textbook that they can use in their instruction with their students. Lastly, I want to inform everyone that during the planning process, we will be bringing our very own local practitioners, local experts, teachers, NMC and UOG, college staff, and indigenous agencies to collaborate in the development of the textbook curriculum. Again, thank you, and we look forward to the continuous partnership in the promotion of public education and students first. Thank you.
Jesus Moasi, Mr. Barcinas. The podium is still open for public comments.
Hafaday, Tiro, and happy Friday to all honorable leaders, our BOE chair, Mr. Greg, and all advocates of our community, and most importantly, our children in this room. I am Jackie Kirugwa, the Public School System Senior Director for Curriculum and Instruction. And I am here to thank you all and giving us this time to join you for this steadfast support that you have before us with this House, with this bill. The call to strengthen in how and what we teach our students and making stronger connections, relationships with others, community and families, being better stewards of our islands, our environment, with their history, language, and culture is a must. And as the earlier program managers have shared, it is that reason that we are here to thank you for continuously putting our children first. With your support, we will have our local experts, our teachers, the voice of our students, our children, the post-secondary institutions that we have before us. We hope to develop a high-quality CCLHS or Chamorro Carolinian Language Heritage Studies and Social Studies instructional materials that are culturally and linguistically responsive, vetted with strong standards aligned with foundation to work with the pedagogies that are real as of today with our children of today. Coherent, developmentally appropriate as well for kinder to third grade. This is a labor lift, and we are grateful for your support. If not here, then where? If not us, then who will provide? Imagine for a moment what the profile of our children will look like and sound like. Again, many thanks for your support and a shared vision we all embrace together, and we know that this vision is within reach. Have a great day.
Thank you, Ms. Kirwa. And the podium is still open. Okay, with nobody else on public comments, we now move into item D on today's agenda, the introduction of local bills. And I did receive communications from Rep. Yumo that authorizes Representative Atto to introduce his bills on the floor. Recognize Repato.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of Representative Yumo, formally introducing House Local Bill number 22-26 to authorize, establish, and regulate casino gambling in the 3rd Senatorial District, introduced by himself, and he welcomes any other co-sponsor to the legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and if may I continue with 22-28?
Yes. Recognize.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Formally introducing for Representative Ralph Yumo, House Local Bill number 22-28 to amend Saipan Local Law 22-6, Section 101A to restructure the local license fee imposed on all electronic gaming devices as defined in Title 6, Section 3154A 4, located within the 3rd Senatorial District. Introduced by himself, and he welcomes any other co-sponsors. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Fato. At this time, I recognize Representative Leila Staff.
Thank you, Chairman. I am formally introducing House Local Bill number 22-29 to reappropriate $9,784.20 allotted under Saipan Local Law 19-23, $1,149.20 allotted under Saipan Local Law 19-19, and $12.55 allotted under Saipan Local Law 20-09, and for other purposes, introduced by myself and my partner, Representative Lizama, and always open for any other sponsors. Thank you.
Jesus Masi, Rep. Staffler. And with no more local bills for introduction, we move to item E, introduction of local resolutions. There are none. Messages from the governor, none. Item G, messages from mayors of Saipan and Northern Islands. Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, we have 6 on messages from the governor, Mayor. Mayor's communication number 22-31 through 36.
Thank you, Clerk. Any comments on messages from the mayors? We move on. Reports and communications from the heads of departments and agencies. We have none. House communications, Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, we have 11 under House Communications. House Communication number 22-26 through 22-36.
Thank you, Clerk. And before we move on, under House Communications, we do have several communications for action. And at this time, I'd like to recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, as floor leader, I will be referring House Communication 22-26, the House Local Bill 22-26 to authorize, establish, and regulate casino gambling in the 3rd Senatorial District to the Gaming Committee, chaired by Representative Ed Probst. For House Communication 22-27, transmitting for delegation action, House Local Bill 22-29 to reappropriate $9,784.20 allotted under Saipan Local Law 19-23, and so forth. This will be placed on today's calendar for action. And moving down to House Communication 22-31, transmitting for delegation action, House Local Bill 22-28 will be referred to the Gaming Committee, chaired by Representative Ed Probst. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, floor leader, for those actions. And now we move on to Senate communications. Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, we have 1 Senate Communication number 22-4, transmitting for delegation action, Senate Local Bill number 22-11.
Thank you, Clerk. And because we have that communication for action, I now recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will be referring Senate Communication 22-4 transmitting for delegation action 22-11 to waive the repayment requirements of the Saipan Higher Education Financial Assistance Memorandum of Agreement to the Education Committee for further discussion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Floor Leader. We move on to item K, delegation matters. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have under delegation matters number 22-83 through 22-94.
Thank you, Clerk. Any comments from the members on delegation matters? Ready? Okay, so we move down to miscellaneous communications. Recognize the clerk again.
We have 5 under miscellaneous communications. Miscellaneous communication number 22-81 through 22-85.
Thank you, Clerk. Any comments on miscellaneous communications? We're ready. And now we move down to item M, reports of standing committees. And I now recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I would like to offer a motion to adopt Standing Committee Report 22-16, SNILD Standing Committee on Judiciary and Governmental Operations, reporting on committee meeting with the Office of Personnel Management. Your committee agrees with the recommendations and purposes of this committee report. So move.
There's been a motion to adopt Standing Committee Report 22-16. It has been seconded. Discussion? All in favor, or Rep. Leila, Staffler, under discussion? Recognize.
I just want to say that I look forward to the data requested by the chair to be shared with all of us. Thank you.
So noted. Okay, so all in favor to adopt Standing Committee Report number 22-16, say aye. All who oppose, say nay. Motion carries. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to offer a motion to adopt Standing Committee Report number 22-17, SNILD Standing Committee on Judiciary and Governmental Operations, reporting on committee meeting with the Pacific Islands Development Bank. Your committee agrees with the recommendations and purposes of this committee report. So move.
There has been a motion for the adoption of Standing Committee Report number 22-17. It has been seconded. Discussion on that motion? We're ready. All in favor for the adoption of Standing Committee Report number 22-17, please say aye. All who oppose, say nay. Motion carries. Recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to offer a motion to adopt and place on today's calendar Standing Committee Report number 22-18, SNILD Standing Committee on Ways and Means, reporting on House Local Bill 22-14, entitled to appropriate $2 million specifically under Business Unit 1605 and for other purposes. Your committee recommends passage in the form of Substitute 1. So move.
There's been a motion for the adoption of Standing Committee Report number 22-18. It has been seconded. Any discussion on that motion? We're ready. Okay, all in favor to adopt Standing Committee Report number 22-18, please say aye.
Aye.
All who oppose, say nay. Motion carries, and that moves House Local Bill 22-24 into today's bill calendar. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I now offer a motion to adopt and place on today's calendar Standing Committee Report number 22-19, SNILD Standing Committee on Ways and Means, reporting on House Local Bill 22-27, entitled to appropriate $4 million from fees collected pursuant to Public Law 20-10, and for other purposes. Your committee recommends passage in the form of Substitute 1. So move.
Okay, there's been a motion for the adoption of Standing Committee Report number 22-19. It has been seconded. Any discussion on that motion? And now recognize Senator De Leon Guerrero.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to go on the record that I have no objection to the House Local Bill 2227. However, I do also want to go on record because of regarding Public Law 20-10, which is where the source of revenue is coming from to provide funding for this specific House Local Bill. And I believe the same funding source is also for House Local Bill 22-24. I want to go on record, Mr. Chairman, regarding what is the status, the fund status of the Casino Gross Revenue Tax Account, to include the reports under Section 3 prescribed under Public Law 20-10. I believe that report is required of the Secretary of Finance to submit to the legislature. Additionally, I think it's important for us to know what is the status of the casino gross revenue tax lien collections. That was published back in time, October 29, 2020, on the local, is coming out from the Guam Daily Post that I Googled. And on this particular article, unpaid amounts under the heading, specifically stated about $9.4 million is still unpaid under business gross revenue taxes. Additionally, Mr. Chairman, it is important to know, because Public Law 20-10 speaks about the retirees' 25% annuity. If we go back in time on August 16, 2021, it is important to know what account is paying for the funding for the 25% of the retiree pension. August 16, 2021, from the Secretary of Finance, Communication 2021-213, addressed to the Speaker of the House, provided a chart, figure 1.1, under the FEMA Community Disaster Loan that the CNMI government received and subsequently is waived. And it does mention about the 25% retirees pension in the amount of $4,499,928. Additionally, on the same communication from the Secretary of Finance, he talks about the 25% retiree pension expenses amounting of $4.4 million was funded by the FEMA Community Disaster Loan, and that it will cover the remaining expenses of the 25% retiree pension for FY21. Mr. Chairman, FY21 ended on September 30, 2021. We are currently in the second quarter of FY22. That is the reason why it's important to know where is the money coming from to fund the additional 25% for the retirees' pension. Also, it is important to know when was the last collection of the casino gross revenue tax with respect to Public Law 20-10. That's about my comments on this particular matter, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
So noted, Senator Leon Guerrero, and because your statements are on the record, the delegation will work in requesting for the information, and it will be given to the members. Thank you. So back to the main motion. All right, all in favor to adopt Standing Committee Report number 22-19, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, no discussion, motion carries. Moving down, there's none under item N, none under item O, and we are at the resolution calendar. We have none under resolution calendar, and under Q, bill calendar, I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion to pass House Local Bill 22-29 to reappropriate $9,784.20 allotted under Saipan Local Law 19-23, $1,149.20 allotted under Saipan Local Law 19-19, and $12.55 allotted under Saipan Local Law 20-09, and for other purposes. So moved.
There's been a motion to pass House Local Bill 22-29. It has been seconded. Discussion on that motion. Ready? Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Fadra,
Yes.
Representative Fato,
Yes.
Representative Babalta Sheila,
Yes.
Representative Kamato Joel,
Okay.
Representative Kamato Vicente,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Representative Demapan, Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Magofnia,
Again.
Senator Kirgwa, Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan Jumpo,
Again.
Representative Staffler,
Yes.
Representative Villagomez,
Yes.
Representative Fiantomay,
Aware.
Representative Demapan. Mr. Chairman,
Hungan.
Mr. Chairman, 16 members voted yes, 5 members absent.
Thank you, Clerk. With 16 members voting yes, House Local Bill 22-29 passes in delegation. Floor Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I offer a motion to pass House Local Bill 22-24, Substitute 1, to appropriate $2 million from fees collected pursuant to Public Law 20-10 and for other purposes. So move.
There's been a motion to pass House Local Bill 22-24 S1. It has been seconded. Any discussion on that motion? Recognize Representative Ato.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I believe all the members have received the floor amendment. Sarge, all the members received the floor amendment? May I, Mr. Chairman?
Continue.
All right, so under House Local Bill 2224 S1, Section 2B, page 2, line 16 to 15 is hereby deleted and replaced with the following language. B, $1 million for the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation, CHCC, for the operations and equipment needs of CHCC, provided that 200,000 shall be allocated for facility repairs, maintenance, and renovations to include but not limited to the upgrades for Building 2, building management systems, BMS lighting system, purchase of an AutoCAD program, purchase of a blueprint scanner printer, and special plumbing tools as needed by CHCC. And 242,000 shall be allocated for procurement of a Vivid E95 Echo ultrasound echocardiogram machine and to replace birthing beds at CHCC's labor and delivery unit. Expenditure shall be the Chief Executive Officer of CHCC or his or her designee. Consistent with the intent of the foregoing amendments, I hereby also move to allow the legal counsel, together with the clerk, to make further non-substantive technical amendments that are strictly necessary to effectuate the intent of this floor amendment prior to transmittal. So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rep. Ato. There's been a motion for the amendment, the floor amendment by Representative Ato. Under discussion, recognize Representative Christina Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'd like to express my support for the amendment proposed by Representative Atto and to thank our good sniled Ways and Means Chair, as well as our new Vice Chair, Representative John Paul Sablan, and the Ways and Means Committee for including CHCC in this substitute version. The proposed amendment, the floor amendment that is before us now, is language that was developed after some back and forth communication with CHCC. They wanted to update the language to provide more flexibility for the corporation, since they do have a number of facility repairs, maintenance, and renovation needs, and some of the specific items that were listed in the original version of this bill, they may not need those items anymore, but this language now gives them that flexibility, greater flexibility. And then the additional procurement items that are provided in B2, that was also pursuant to a request from CHCC to make sure that we can include these items, and the funding amounts that are provided here came from CHC. So thank you again to our colleagues, and I stand ready to support this amendment. Oh, and actually, sorry, one more thing, just for technical correction. So just for the record, for the clerk to note, the operative language that is part of the amendment, that would, I guess, normally be in quotations, it starts at B and it ends at designee, correct? And then I think that there is an extra parentheses that shouldn't be there in building management systems right before the word building, and after the Roman numeral 2. So just so there's no confusion about what that refers to. Thank you very much.
Okay, so under discussion, anybody else? Okay, and there was a motion for the floor amendment offered by Rep. Ato. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. All who oppose, say nay. Motion carries. And now we move back to the main motion. And the main motion is for passage of 22, House Local Bill 22-24, S1, and now in the form of D1. Okay, so clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Fadda? Representative Facto?
Yes.
Representative Babalta Sheila?
Yes.
Representative Komatsu Joel?
Good.
Representative Komatsu Vicente?
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero?
Yes.
Representative Demapan?
Good.
Representative Guerrero? Representative Lizama?
Yes.
Representative Magofnia?
Hungan.
Senator Kirgwa? Representative Sablan Christina?
Yes.
Representative Sablan Jampo?
Hungan.
Representative Staffler?
Hungan.
Representative Villa Gomez? Representative Yang Tamay?
Hungan.
Mr. Chairman?
Hungan.
Mr. Chairman, all 17 members voted yes.
Thank you, clerk. With 17 members voting yes, House Local Bill 22-24, S1 hereby passes the delegation in the form of D1. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to now offer a motion for passage of House Local Bill 22-27, Substitute 1, to appropriate $4 million from fees collected pursuant to Public Law 20-10 and for other purposes. So move.
Thank you, floor leader. There's been a motion to pass House Local Bill 22-27, S1. Any discussion? It has been seconded. Any discussion? Recognize Representative Ato.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I got a floor amendment that's been passed out to all the members. I don't know if every member have received it already. You got it?
Yes.
All right, please follow. Guess we'll put the quotation there on B. So to amend section 2B to read as follows. B1 shall now read 70,000 for the CARIDOT social services for operations and to support CARIDOT's emergency food and shelter program for individuals and families in need in the 3rd Senatorial District. And B2 shall now read $350,000 rather than $400,000. B5 should now read 200,000 rather than 230,000. B13 should now read 400,000 rather than 425,000. There should be a new B19 to read 105,000 for the Northern Marianas Protection and Advocacy. Can we consider that a technical just include Systems Inc. and MPOSSE? And the former 19 will now reflect 20. And under 20D, precinct 4, I walkway expansion, southbound lane, comma, railings and crosswalk improvements. And D double I will read 40,000 rather than 70,000. And then the new D4 would be Talabo Star, T Star Association, 30,000, youth programs and operations. And it'll be a new 5, would remain the same to purchase a playground set for GTC. And then the new 6, expenditure authority for 2B, 20D, I, and double I shall be the Secretary of the Department of Public Works. 2B, 20D, triple I shall be the President of NSA. And the new added language will be 2B, 20D, IV 4 shall be the President of T-Star. and shall reflect the new 2B 19D as just 5 shall be the commissioner, the public school system commissioner, in consultation with the principal of GTC. And then the last I for the under I for precinct 5 for the ongoing Cagman watershed project, the added language of the expenditure authority for 2B19EI shall be the Secretary of the Department of Public Lands and Natural Resources or his or her designee. And that's all with that. And consistent with the intent of the foregoing amendments, I hereby also move to allow legal counsel together with the clerk to make further non-substantive technical amendments that are strictly necessary to effectuate the intent of this floor amendment prior to transmittal. So move.
Okay, there's been a motion for the passage of the floor amendment offered by Repato. It has been seconded. Any discussion on that motion? Ready? Okay, all in favor for the floor amendment offered by Rep. Atto, please say aye. All who oppose say nay. Motion carries. D1. No. Okay, and now that brings us again back to the main motion. And this is for the passage of House Local Bill 22-27 S1, now in the form of D1. Clerk, please, or short recess.
To verify.
Back in session, and we are under discussion um, on the bill calendar under House Local Bill 22-27 S1D1, and recognize now Representative Angel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just caught one issue here that maybe council, if you can clarify if it can be a technical correction here on Puntan Drive. The for precinct one project to pave Puntan Drive in Aslitu, just to change the U in Puntan to an O, as it is reflected on the map for Saipan. I just don't want to DPW to keep looking for the road for years to come. So just a PONTAN. Thank you.
Council, can we treat that as a technical? Yes. Okay.
It's Puntan Drive on the map. So.
Thank you, Rep. Namapan, and the council will treat that as a technical. Okay, we're ready to move on. So we are on the main motion, and clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Adda,
Yes.
Representative Fatal,
Yes.
Representative Babauta Sheila,
Again.
Representative Camacho Joel,
Good.
Representative Camacho Vicente,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Representative Demapuan,
Hungan.
Representative Guerrero, Representative Lizama,
Yes.
Representative Magofnia,
Hungan.
Senator Kirgwa, Representative Sablan Christina,
Yes.
Representative Sablan John Paul,
Again.
Representative Staffler,
Hungan.
Representative Villa Gomez,
Awer.
Representative Yang Tabay,
Awer.
Mr. Chairman.
Hungan.
Mr. Chairman, all 17 members voted yes.
Thank you, clerk. With all 17 members voting yes, House Local Bill 22-27 S1 hereby passes the delegation in the form of D1. Okay, so Floor, no more bills on bill calendar? Okay, so we're gonna move on to miscellaneous business. Anybody under miscellaneous business? I recognize the vice chair of this delegation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and dear colleagues. I think this is the only opportunity for me to extend and express my sincere appreciation for your confidence in me to serve as your vice chair. I look forward, moving forward in the remaining months to work with you all in this term. And thank you, Sususmasi Angeliso.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Anybody else under miscellaneous business? Recognize Representative Christina Sablan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations once again to our new vice chairman on your election. I really just wanted to take this opportunity under miscellaneous, now that we have both most members of the House and the members of the Senate from Saipan here in one room, to consider how we might be able to get past the deadlock on the subject of the retiree bonus, because there has been so much back and forth between the House and the Senate, so much that has been said in the press. And I know that we are all getting inquiries from our constituents who are government retirees who are very hopeful and in need of this assistance, that we can work out our differences and issue these payments to our retirees as soon as possible. And I just wanted to put out that appeal, just for the record, for everybody to consider. This is one forum where we have both members of the House and the Senate here today, and it just seems like there should be also an opportunity for us to come to an agreement on something that actually we all have expressed support for. There's no controversy on the issue of whether or not retirees should be given these bonuses. We all support it, and I firmly believe, and I have faith and confidence in all of our colleagues that we can work this out and get to a resolution so that retirees can get the bonuses and the assistance they've been waiting for. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Sablan. Anybody else under miscellaneous? Okay, we'll move down to announcements. Any announcements? No announcements. I'll now turn it over to the floor for the proper motion for adjournment. Okay, announcement, I recognize Representative Staffler.
Thank you. Sorry for the slow response there. I just wanted to announce that we are going to be having our SNILD zoning meeting next week to dispose of some bills. And just a note, we will be starting an hour earlier at 9 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Staffler. Okay, recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Announcements. I would like to share with the delegation that next week, March 29th, is the Women's Summit. And your support and your participation would be greatly appreciated. It is, organized by the Commonwealth Women's Association and the Office of Women's Affairs. I will be presenting on militarization because women in the CNMI have largely led that conversation. And so I hope to see you there. Another announcement is, let's see, it's in regards to the South Pacific mini games coming up next week on March 30th at 10:30 a.m. The chairman, Ben Babalta, will be invited to meet with members who are interested in learning more about the mini games and how we can help support that cause, because we're going to be expecting a lot of visitors. And so the chairman would like to partner with the leaders in the community to see how we can prepare our precincts and just support the games. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, floor leader. Recognize Representative Fato.
Just location for the Women's Summit and the meeting with Mr. Ben Babalta.
All right, recognize Representative Yang Tamay.
Thank you, Chair. The Women's Summit will be at PIC from morning until afternoon, and we're also having that session here. So, party. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Yang Tamay. Another round? Okay, Representative Staffler.
I was just going to say, I think that the meeting with Chairman Babauta is going to be at the ADA gym. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have our zoning meeting an hour earlier, so that we can expedite that business, so that we can make it in time to the presentation that Chairman Babauta will be giving. So if any members are available, please come join us at 10:30 at the ADA gym for tour of that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Staffler. Okay, so anybody else under announcements? Okay, I now recognize the floor leader for the proper motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I offer a motion for adjournment subject to the call of the chair. So move.
Okay, there's been a motion to adjourn. It has been seconded. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. All who oppose, say nay. Motion carries. This delegation session is hereby adjourned. Thank you, members. Have a nice weekend.